Hi, I'm Shelley.
And I'm Kate, and you're listening to One Lump or Two,
the boldest breast cancer podcast yet.
Join us each week as we offer an intimate glimpse into the challenges and triumphs of facing breast cancer head-on in our 30s.
In Series 2, we're going to be joined by you, our listeners, and some experts in the field to help us all feel a little less alone and a lot more informed.
Now, let's pull back that curtain and dive in.
Hello everyone, welcome back to One Lump or Two. So this week I'm going to start off by saying we did have some technical difficulties because it's 2024 and we all worked online during COVID, so obviously, we just don't know how to use computers. But that being said, I know Kate will have done a fantastic job editing because she always does. And just to let you in on a little secret, she edits most of our episodes, and I edit a few. So go me. Anyway, back to the content of the episode. Today we spoke to Jackie, who is a cancer nurse specialist with the charity Future Dreams. They are an incredible charity that kind of go above and beyond to support everybody who has gone through a breast cancer diagnosis. So Jackie was super lovely and super informative, and the charity offers honestly so much in terms of courses and support and things that you can do, and they even have their own pink house in London that you can go and visit and just pop in for a cup of tea, whatever you want. But enough of me waffling on. I will just let the episode tell you all about it. So I hope you enjoy.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of One Lump or Two. Today we are joined by Jackie from Future Dreams. Hello, Jackie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Shelley. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
It's so lovely to have you on today. Can you tell us a little bit?
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Can you tell us a little bit about Future Dreams and who the charity are?
I am a clinical nurse specialist based at Future Dreams. We are basically a breast cancer support centre based in King's Cross. So we're literally a 2-minute walk across from King's Cross station. We offer support services such as workshops and online community groups, one-to-one therapies, basically just give people a space, both online and in person, to sort of connect after they've had a diagnosis of breast cancer.
That sounds amazing. I mean, everybody who's had a breast cancer diagnosis, I'm sure, will be absolutely, thrilled to have a charity like Future Dreams around. You just kind of briefly mentioned just then, but what kind of support can you offer people with a breast cancer diagnosis at Future Dreams?
So we do lots of different things. So some of it is about around side effects. So, as you guys will know, people are plunged into medically induced menopause because of treatments. So it's things around, we've got your workshops around menopause, surgery. I do one on fear of recurrence because that's a huge topic that comes up constantly when I do my one-to-one. We have community groups, which I think we have over 14 different community groups, and I think that's a really nice place. Yeah, I think it's lots of different things, because I think also too, loneliness and isolation is a huge topic that people get or sort of say to us. So I think it's just providing that safe space, whether it be in the physical house or online, where people can connect and relate to one another without sort of having to explain themselves, if that makes sense.
I love that you mentioned the fear of recurrence, because Shelley and I were literally just talking about that before we started this. I mean, I'm terrified of reoccurrence, obviously. And I think the way I've found a way to deal with it is whenever I get that thought in my head, oh my God, there's a pain there. Obviously, I've got cancer again and I'm going to die.
Of course.
I give myself like 10 minutes and then like physically tell myself out loud that I'm being silly, because that isn't the case, because I've just had annual scans, so I know I'm clear. But it is one of those things that is it's such a massive, complete mind fuck of a thing to be dealing with. And
absolutely.
You can't explain to your partner or someone who doesn't live with that low-key fear at the back of their head, or maybe the front of their head, what that is like to every time your body does anything that isn't remotely normal, think, oh, well, that's it again.
But even if it is normal, I still get it. Like every time I get a headache, I'm like, brain tumor? But it's like headaches are so normal. Like, just go and drink some water.
I think everything's just amplified, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Because you've been through what you guys have been through. That headache, the first place you go to, it's probably, drink some more water, you lack of sleep. So really simple things that most of us do, that's where your mind goes. And it's really hard to kind of navigate that conversation you have with yourself. So we do these workshops a couple of times a year, mainly in-house, but hopefully next in 2025 we'll move online, because I'm working with a psychologist who also has a special interest in fear of recurrence. So it's split into 2 sessions where I do all the physical stuff as a nurse. So I go through signs and symptoms, health and wellbeing advice, and then the psychologist takes over and focuses on the things you can do to help yourself, and how there will be a degree of living with uncertainty regardless of where you are.
It's just such a valuable workshop to be able to offer someone as well. It's one of those things that I think you just kind of accept that you're going to deal with. And like, it's never occurred to me that, oh, that's something that I could go and get help for.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
actually.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Have you ever had the conversation with either of your teams about what to look out for, what to report in?
Not really, no. Like, I have my annual scans, and I have I did mention to my oncologist that I, was kind of scared of recurrence, because I'm at like a fairly high risk of recurrence. And so we do annual scans, not just like breast scans. We do like full body kind of MRIs and CT scans as well every year, to kind of like put my mind at ease. But in general, I know what to look out for, but only from talking to different people and different charities and stuff like that. I've never really had like a big conversation about it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the conversation will come when we're discharged, because Shelley and I technically still under the breast care teams. Neither of us have been discharged yet from treatment. We're both expecting that in the next couple of months. So I don't know if maybe that's a time that it will come up, and maybe if it doesn't come up, that's the time for us to bring it up.
Because I think it's important too, that to have those conversations so that you are aware. And some people will have what we call end of treatment conversations. So that is kind of when you've discharged and put onto what we call open access, which most hospitals in the UK do these days. But it is just so you know what to look out for, what to report in. And it's not to, I guess, increase your fear any more than what's already there. But it's just so, I always believe that information's power. The more you know, the more it can help you deal with, thoughts and feelings, really.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Especially with a reoccurrence, like if you get like, a pain anywhere in your body, like in your bones, or that's kind of something to look out for. A lot of it is like pain, but it's that knowing of what the pain is supposed to kind of feel like. And it's supposed to be kind of, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like consistent and persistent like pain, rather than just like, oh, I've got a bit of an achy hip today. So I guess knowing that can put your mind at rest a little bit when you get these kind of random like aches and pains that are just normal.
Absolutely. So the key is persistent. So if it's persistent pain that doesn't go away with normal painkillers, simple techniques, such as, sometimes it is just rest and sleep and that kind of stuff. But so it's just working out. And I always get people to put it into a diary. So put it into a diary. You've noted this pain on a set date. Check in with yourself in a week or so. If it's still there, then you can report it. If it's gone, that's great news.
Yeah,
that's really good advice.
That is good advice. So you're a breast cancer specialist nurse, is that right?
Correct.
What is your role, I guess, in Future Dreams?
So it depends on where you are. So within Future Dreams, my role is, I guess, to support anyone coming through with a diagnosis of breast cancer. I have worked my whole career in breast cancer. So trained in Australia, moved over here. I come for a 6-month holiday. That was 20 years ago.
What made you stay?
I stayed on. I worked in the private sector, and then I moved into the NHS, which I spent my last 14 years of my career there.
Nice.
And working in all types of sort of all areas of the pathway, really, from diagnosis right through to end of life. So I guess I see my role as really hand-holding, supporting, being a patient advocate, you know, my role, particularly when I was in the NHS, to be the voice of the patient. Yeah, and at Future Dreams, what I do is I run a few workshops. So I do a surgical one, as I said, the fear of recurrence, and I hope to grow those into 2025. I have 4 different community groups. So I have one for the younger women, which we'll talk about later. I have one for supporters, so anyone who's supporting a loved one, which I think is a really unique group because they're the forgotten ones, unfortunately.
They are. I was literally just about
yeah.
to say, kind of, you know, the patient is going through it, and that's kind of, you know, they are kind of the main person, but it's easy to forget that everyone that's close to that person going through it is also going through it.
Yeah. So we have, you know, we have husbands, partners, we have mums, sisters, all sorts of people join the group, which I think is lovely.
Yeah.
And then they create their own network because they can relate to one another, which I think is really special in itself. So that's, you know, that's a really good one that we offer. I also do a recurrence one. So for those who have had recurrence, so it's a very niche group because they don't fit the primary bracket, but also don't fit the secondaries either. They're kind of lost in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, a very small number of people, but, you know, we offer that service. And I also do one for newly diagnosed. So those who are in the sort of first 4 months or so of trying to get their head around
kind of like
the diagnosis and beginning of treatment. It's really new. So we're coming up to our 2nd month of doing that one.
That feels like such a key one as well, because you are just thrust like rabbit in the headlights into a world that you have absolutely no idea about, and you don't know the questions to ask either. That was one of the things that I struggled with. I was like, I don't know what I should be asking. And both Shelley and I had our treatment through COVID, so a lot of the times we didn't have anyone else in the room with us either. So it really was like, I don't know what to do here, and I don't know what to say, and I don't know what I should be thinking, and I don't know what to ask to get the right information. I don't know if I'm being given all of the information, because I think as well, like, your healthcare providers probably feed off you and what questions you ask to gauge what's important to you or what direction you may want to go in. But if you don't even know what to ask, you're never going to get the full extent of the information that you need. And I think actually Shelley and I have fallen a little bit victim to that because of the pandemic.
Absolutely. It's also the language. Like, it's a whole different language sometimes. It's very natural for the medical teams to just use medical jargon, but actually it's trying to decipher all that. You know, how many times has somebody brought their clinic letter just so I can try and explain it to them because it's all abbreviated. Unless you understand what those abbreviations are, it's really hard to kind of navigate. So we've just started that one, which I think is quite a nice one. And another one I do is a triple negative. Again, that's another very specific group who often feel very isolated. And we meet once every couple of months.
So you've got a lot going on. There's a lot of like support groups out there.
Yes, 14. Some we do in-house ourselves, and some we sort of collaborate with other charities. So we work with Black Women Rising. We work with Make Seconds Count. We work with Secondary Sisters as well. We work with Outpatients, which is an LGBTQI plus cancer support charity, and we work with Lobula Breast Cancer UK as well.
We've got so much.
It's so key though, isn't it? It's supporting, because there's no one size fits all level of support.
You know, or have people come to, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of those because actually that's what works for them. Some people might just come to one. It's whatever works. You know, and at Future Dreams, I think we're very much visitor led. So if somebody comes up with a great idea that they would like to see something implemented, a workshop put on, you know, we've even asked for a bridge club, which we've started.
Yeah, because then people feel heard. And I think there's a huge element to going through treatment where you're stripped of your identity and to some extent being heard, because you do become the patient and you kind of do end up being this, doing what you're told because everybody else knows the situation so much better than you because you're just the person that got through into it.
Yeah. And you almost get on the hospital conveyor belt, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does feel like that. It does kind of feel like you are part of like a chain of people, and because you're obviously not the only one. Like so many, 1 in 2 of us are going to get cancer. So like obviously you're not special. But it's difficult to when you don't feel special. Like I got a clinic letter the other day that like it was addressed to me, but it had like just someone else. Like it was all about somebody else, and they've obviously just like mixed it up. You know how quick they work. Oh, I am just part of a production line.
At least you'll get a new boob at some point on the production line.
Yeah. So you briefly mentioned in that about young women's meetups, which I think is a really important thing to do, because I think as a young person, again, you feel even more isolated, because when you're
Mhm.
kind of in the chemo rooms and in the waiting rooms, like everybody is a lot older than you. So
Yeah.
can you just tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we offer we call it the Young Cancer Community, and we've changed it to recently a supper club where we provide dinner and drinks.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's from because it's over sort of dinner time, so it's 5:30 to 7:30, and it's the last Tuesday of the month. And it's for anyone in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, just to do that, to connect, to know
Yeah.
actually you're not the only one. I was seeing someone on a one-to-one recently, and she was saying she always went to the hospital with her mum, but all the hospital staff in the waiting room addressed her mum. Yet she
Uh,
was the one that was clearly going through cancer
yeah.
treatment. It was just this assumption, but because her mum was older, it was
Hmm.
her.
Yeah.
And she found that incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's really informal. It depending on the size of the group. The last meetup we had over 20 people attend, which was amazing. And we have like a little terrace from our kitchen, so people can sit out central London, enjoy the nice summer when it
Amazing.
arrives. Yeah, and just keep it really chilled and low key. And I'm always around if there's any medical-led questions. But it is just a safe space where people can connect of similar age and have all those similarities, whether it be families or managing work or careers, friendships, relationships, all those sort of common themes come up, quite constantly, really.
Hmm.
It sounds incredible. I almost wish I lived a little bit closer to London.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even live that far.
It's not that far, yeah.
No,
So you could come and visit us.
we definitely could come visit. I would love to come and visit. I was just looking at the actual building, because it's pink, isn't it? And it just looks so nice.
It is. I had somebody describe it like a spa the other day. 'Cause
Oh,
it's got like
wow.
as soon as you walk in, we have a smell. So we always have the infuser go on, so it does create a net really smell. We're very non-clinical. So all the colours of the house are picked to create a sense of calm. We
Nice.
have therapy rooms at the top, so you can have one-to-one treatment. So whether that be for reflexology, acupuncture, scar tissue massage, we have a bra lounge, so you can have bra fittings. There's
Wow.
so much we have, that people can sort of access, which,
Hmm.
and it's things that sadly you may not be able to get on the NHS depending on where you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. The NHS is such a postcode lottery sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, can we move in?
Yeah, we'll just take one of the spa rooms upstairs.
I get that a lot, actually, funny enough.
It sounds, honestly, it sounds amazing.
It
Like,
really does sound
It,
amazing.
I feel really lucky to have a job there. It is just the best place, from my opinion, the best place to work.
How do we get jobs there?
You can always come and volunteer for us.
Yeah, we might have to do that actually. It sounds really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned like loads of stuff there, like
Mm.
you've got like spa rooms and massage and stuff like that. Like how
Yeah.
how do people kind of access that? And is that kind of offered for free? Like what's the catch?
So there is no catch, which is
Right.
good.
Wow.
We have an amazing fundraising team
Yeah.
who work because we're not government funded, so they work tirelessly to try and raise the funds for us to be able to offer these services. So people find out about us mainly through their medical teams, but we are on all social media channels, so
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, X. I always forget it's called X. Or you can go onto our website And if you go onto our website, you can look at bookings, and then everything that we have to offer is there. So, and we break it down into 6 different categories. So whether it's treatment and side effect related, so if it's, I don't know, a menopause, if you're suffering, say, menopause, or sex and intimacy issues, you can select down on that. If you're struggling with mental health, there's a box for that. Nutrition and, I want to say, movement, community groups, and then you can break it down further, online or in person, depending on where you are in the country, or one-to-ones as well. So depending on whether if you want a one-to-one therapy. Some classes are free, completely free. So all the ones that are side effect related, so your menopause workshops, your nutrition workshops, they'll all be free. Workshops, we have cooking classes, knitting.
Amazing.
We have yarn therapy. We have film club, book club. We do body confidence workshops, all those kind of things, either a donation or just, maybe a set price for a particular type of workshop. But for those who, I understand like cancer's expensive, it is a really expensive thing. So for those who are on universal credits or ESA, for example, they just need to have a quiet word with us. We can add that to their file, and then we gift 4 free workshops per month.
Wow.
Up to sort of 2 years in time, we hope.
Yeah.
And then you can access as much or as little as you need. Now, some people will access us quite a lot, and some people just dip in and out to specific workshops that are of interest to them.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds so great. Like you kind of mentioned like the yarn therapy and the knitting and stuff, and I just thought Kate would be so into that. Like
honestly,
she
it's one of the
loves her
loudest
craft.
groups. It's constant chatter. They bring cakes. Honestly, it is so loud when the yarn therapy is going on. It's hilarious. But it's just chatting. And actually, it's really good for symptoms. So for those who suffer from peripheral neuropathy from chemo, report sort of an improvement in their symptoms also almost as well. So I think it has a twofold kind of effect.
Yeah.
Really.
I'm a keen cross stitcher, and certainly while I was going through treatment and the bone pain I was getting in my hands, I wasn't able to cross stitch or do anything like that. And I remember like the further out I came from chemotherapy, I was using like, can I cross stitch as I'm getting better from this almost. And I'd been doing this cross stitch of Van Gogh's Starry Night for years.
Fantastic.
I planned to finish it the year I was diagnosed, and obviously that went to pot. And last year I said to Shane, I was like, my only goal for 2023 is to finish this. To finish this, I have to get better. Like I have to get that range of movement back. I have to get my pain under control. And I literally finished it like just towards the end of last year, and now it's up on the wall. And every time I look at it, I just think how far I've come, and like it's a huge reminder of how much work went into actually getting to a point that I could even carry on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good. It's actually really good to be able to stop and actually look back and think about how far you've come. Because I often get people to do that, because I think we're naturally quite self-critical. But actually, if you get people to sort of help you reflect how far you have come, it's amazing what people can achieve.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of looking back recently, because Shelley and I were in treatment around the same kind of time, and we're starting to come up to anniversaries of those treatments ending. Also, Shelley's just had a birthday, so lots of people posted old pictures of her pre-cancer.
Yeah, kind of like unrecognizable pre-cancer.
We're like a little cancer catfish.
Yeah, I am a little cancer catfish. I can't use old photos because I just look so different now.
And that's the thing, isn't it? People do say like they look so vastly different. I mean, cancer changes you irreversibly, really, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%.
Whether it be just in the way you look, or your outlook on life, or your tolerance for certain things, it's just huge.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've mentioned it a few times that like we definitely would be completely different people today if we hadn't have gone through cancer. And obviously, like, we wouldn't be doing this, we wouldn't have a podcast, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a sort of the golden nugget of Future Dreams is that people have that connection,
Yeah.
commonality between us. So you might come from completely different walks of life, and had you not had a diagnosis, never have met really.
Mm.
Well,
But
yeah,
actually,
exactly.
we had a triple negative meeting last night, and one of the ladies said, and she's a frequent user of the house, she said, actually, there are positives from this because I have made some amazing friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's part of the singing, part of the choir we have, and she's always around the house. So it wasn't for her diagnosis, she wouldn't have the amazing friendships that she has now, which I
Yeah.
think's phenomenal.
So can people just come to the house like whenever they want? Like, is the door kind of
Yeah,
always open? Like, you can just come in
it
for like a cup of
is.
tea?
Like exactly that. So we're open Monday to Friday, 9 to
Yeah.
5. And usually it's the fourth Saturday of the month, and you can just drop in. So we sort of say to, we've got a few big London hospitals around us. If you're in and around the area, come and find us, come and get a tea or coffee. If it's, your first time to the house, we can give you a tour. Because I think also too, people are quite overwhelmed of what we do offer. It's like, well, where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes just coming in and chatting to one of us, and working out what it is that you want, whether it is just that social connection or is it a particular side effect. We have our own podcast that we run with Victoria Derbyshire, and then Came Breast Cancer. We have an amazing online information hub with lots of useful resources. So, coming in and sort of just testing it out for yourself
Yeah.
is really helpful.
Oh, well, we're gonna have to come.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
please do. The more the
I'll have
merrier.
to take like a day off work and just spend the day at the Future Dreams house.
Yeah, and we do put on like bundled days for that reason, because we know that if you are traveling from a distance, I had somebody come one Saturday she traveled in from Cornwall, and
Wow.
she come in for one of our meetups and then stayed for the knitting and then stayed for something else. So actually she was able to make a whole day of it. And to me
Yeah.
that's far more valuable than coming in from miles around, but only to attend maybe one workshop. So I know, say in October, we're doing a whole day dedicated to menopause. We have a menopause breakfast. We're doing some yoga, some information workshops, just so you can get lots of useful, hopefully, information that you can take on after that.
Yeah. That sounds great. Like, I want to come for some menopause breakfast.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and we provide lunch too.
Yeah, sounds divine.
Yeah, I mean, we have the most amazing volunteers who do, if we can, one comes in on a Monday, one comes in on a Wednesday, and they provide like big batches of soup. So if you're in the house and it's lunchtime and you've got a workshop that's just finished, people are more than welcome to come and stay for soup and have a bit of lunch and and have that connection as well. So it is something that we try and do most of the time.
I feel like I want to like head up a Future Dreams house on my doorstep.
That'd be great.
We find a
We
pink
keep getting
building, Kelly.
asked.
Yeah. We'll buy a house and we'll paint it pink.
Yeah. I mean, people do ask us all the time, are we going to open more around the country? And at the minute, I think we just need to focus, because we've only been open as a physical house for I think it'll be 3 years this October. So we're
Yeah.
relatively new, relatively small. I think employee wise, I think there might be 15 of us in total. And that includes the fundraising side of it as well. So we're a very small charity, but want to reach the whole of the UK, basically.
Yeah, well, it seems like you're doing that already. And sometimes like the smallest of charity, it doesn't matter how big you are, like you can still make such a big impact in people's lives.
And that's the thing, and that's what we want to do, is try and make a big difference, reach as many people as we can, create that sort of sense of community with one another. I think that's really important, because I think our sort of mission statement is that nobody should face breast cancer alone or without hope.
Yeah.
And I hope by delivering these, I think, what is it, 92 workshops, one-to-ones, community groups per month is what we offer.
Yeah.
We're kind of halfway to achieving that.
That is a lot as well. Like
it is a lot.
That's incredible.
That takes a lot of coordination.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, I can imagine. That's one for Kate. That is. She's the organised one.
Like my dream.
Yeah. another thing that I know you offer that you
Yeah.
don't have to travel anywhere to do is you have your own podcast, right?
We do. So we, I think, are on series 3 of our podcast.
Nice.
So it's called And Then Came Breast Cancer.
Yeah.
It's hosted by Victoria Derbyshire, who's had her own experience with breast cancer some years ago. And again, we take users of the house, voices of the house, and put them onto a podcast. We'll have different topics. I was in one a few months ago with sisters who were diagnosed within sort of 6 weeks of one another, but had completely different experiences because they were in different parts of the country. Yeah, so we're kind of very much, again, user-led on that, topics that are raw. We do one on return to work. Lobular, I think, some features in this series.
Mm-hmm.
We've done sort of, I think, same-sex relationships, all the dynamics that goes around with that. It's lots of different topics that we like to take on. And I think that's, we're starting to plan season 4, hopefully.
Well, obviously, we love a good podcast. So.
Absolutely.
But I think they can just be really helpful in like reaching like as many people as possible, because you don't have to go anywhere. You can literally be like in the bath, you can be driving to work, and you can just stick the podcast on. So it's such a good way to get like kind of that information and to feel like you're a part of something as well without actually having to travel anywhere.
And I think it's a good way of because people are different learners as well. So it's a way of sort of getting information across, and people not having to necessarily read anything. Because, if you're not a visual learner, sometimes people like to take it through listening.
I think it's really important as well to be able to access information when you're ready to access it. Like there's been so many times that I've had questions or I've been thinking about something and I know I've just not been in the headspace to do the research, do the listening, and a couple of days later I'll be like, okay, my head feels a bit clearer, I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to listen to this episode on XYZ. There's such a timing piece to your grief process through all of this that you have to time around all of this treatment and all these changes that are happening to your life, and you might not want to have everything to do with something thrust in your face as you've just had some really bad news. You might want to go and think about it 6 months down the line. And I think that's where things like podcasts are so important, because you can hear someone else talking about it and you can feel like you're in the room with that person. And therefore you're not alone as you're discovering whatever the topic is that they're talking about.
It's so true though, and I think I often go as a nurse, I said, well, why wasn't I told? And it is about pacing information and whether or not you're ready to receive that information, learn about it. There's one heading of breast cancer, but there's so many different types and options, and you could go on for years really with all the information there is about breast cancer. You have to be in the right space to be able to receive it.
Oh, absolutely. It took me like so long to be in the right space to kind of digest any kind of information. And
so it's really good. I mean, that's part of my job too. I get, when I do my one-to-ones, it's giving information, but also I empower people to go back and ask their team. Like I recently sent a lady back to her team with 16 questions for her oncologist.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, but I think because there's the questions that she needed to know the answers to in order for her to make a decision. So I'm like, right, let's write this down. Let me print it out for you. Then you take it to your next appointment and you can ask away. That will again give you the tools to make a decision.
It's so empowering as well, like taking control of that conversation, because this is your life, like regardless of you being under the care of the hospital and medically them having all the knowledge and the tools to know what might be best for you, like you have to live with this for the rest of your life, and you have to be able to live with the decisions you make. You have to make them informed.
Absolutely. I mean, part of what we do show and tell events about 4 times a year, and that's come off the back of working with the BRCA project. But it is giving people an opportunity who are coming up to surgery, particularly a mastectomy with or without reconstructions, and an opportunity to ask real life models their experience. So we have a breast surgeon, a plastic surgeon, myself, and then up to sort of 8 or 9 volunteers who have had breast reconstruction in various forms, and they're happy to model. So if you're coming up to a decision, we can speak to someone who's had their tummy done or implants done and ask what their recovery was like and things. And I think to me that's so invaluable.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I'm kind of coming up to, well, I'm hoping to have reconstruction early next year, and we do have something like slightly similar in Oxford, run by the breast reconstruction nurses at the hospital.
Yeah.
And I found it so helpful to go in and look at people that have had the surgery that I'm going to have, because you are kind of like, I know I do want the surgery, but there's always that fear of like, what's it going to look like, what's going to happen, like what's the recovery going to be like. There's so many unknowns and so many questions. So to be able to like speak to someone and actually physically see how like amazing they look and how like, you know, them talk about their own experience and how great they feel, and it really does like help you so much make a decision.
Absolutely, it does, you know. And how many ladies who have been to past events who have then come back and wanted to volunteer themselves because they've had such an amazing experience, and it helped them incredibly, that they just want to give back in their way, and that's their way of doing it. And I think for me that's amazing.
Well, I think everything that you're doing as a charity is just absolutely spectacular, and it sounds amazing. And I'm jealous that I haven't been yet.
We 100% will come. It'll be so fun. It just looks amazing. It sounds amazing. Yeah, you guys are doing like honestly incredible work, and it obviously will have benefited like and will continue to benefit so many people.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we just want to keep developing and keep growing, you know, and we just want to reach as many pockets of the country as we can.
Yeah, same with our podcast. That's one of the reasons why we want to talk to all these charities and you guys and stuff, so that we can help like showcase the offer that you can support, so that if there is somebody listening and they don't know where to turn, or they don't know what kind of support they want or what format that might take, they can hear some of the options that are out there, and again make the right choice for them to go to the right charity and the right kind of support
at the right time. I think that's important. You know, because sometimes fresh out of diagnosis you've got no idea, but actually when treatment's complete and your team wave you on and say we'll see you in a year for your next mammogram or whatever, it's like, oh God, what now? And that's when we find a lot of people then do tap into us. So it has to be the right time.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today.
It's an absolute pleasure.
I'm definitely going to take some time off work and come and see you. So
oh my God, yeah.
We'll see you soon.
I'd way rather be at the house than at work.
Well, if you could work remote, we can get you sorted.
Oh my God, we can as well.
Yeah, we could do
there that. You go. So you have no excuse.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Actually.
We'll be in next week.
Perfect.
If you want to share your story, we'd love to hear from you. Whether you've had cancer, you know someone that's had cancer, or you just love listening to our voices, slide into our DMs on Instagram at onelump_or2.
Or email us at onelump or2pod@gmail.com.
See you next week.
Bye.